let's get into a little bit more of a fun deal. I want to take some of the Division II teams that we've talked a good bit about, or maybe ones that we have not, and give our NFL comp. So, Drew, give me the Division II squad. Give me the NFL team that best represents them in your eyes.
Yeah, this was a tough thing because there's a million different schools and there's 32 NFL teams. I talked to Kobe, wanted to use the Cleveland Browns as an example. That was too close to home. But I ended up going with the Grand Valley State Lakers, who's obviously close to home as well. And we've, followed this program enough. The team that we would kind of compare the Ferris State Bulldogs to would be like the Tom Brady Patriots or the modern day Kansas City Chiefs, where it's like, in order to be the champ, you got to beat the champ, right? Sure. And who's their biggest rival and who's the team that's always so close, but, just for some odd reason, it just doesn't happen. It's Grand Valley. It's the Buffalo Bills, right? So for me, that was the closest comp that I had. And it's a thing to where it's like, they talk about it with Sean McDermott. It's like, those guys are starving for that win and to, beat them in the playoffs when it matters, right? Coach Wooster's got the exact same mentality. And there's been multiple times where all of a sudden you think, oh, Buffalo might make a run this year, right? With GV, right?
Sure.
And then losing in the playoffs to a non-Ferris team, right? Wasn't it to Harding a couple years ago where it was kind of like, oh, wow, that was shocking.
Yeah,
right?
Harding went into Lubbers and pulled out a big-time win.
Exactly, right? Sound like Cincinnati Bengals going into Buffalo and stealing a win in the playoffs a couple years. Yep. That's what I'm trying to say. So that was my comparison with Grand Valley. It's it's a culture thing. It's a team you always know is going to be right there. And I'm not saying the Bills. I think people are more high on the Bills right now. The Bills are obviously undefeated, but like GV's in the mid-teens right now in the rankings. I'm pretty sure it was like 15-14. Not saying like they lost to Pitt State. Pitt State's a good program. I think that's a little low for the Lakers. I think they're still a top 10 team in the country.
And you know what it is? This is a team that unprecedented in my eyes. Back-to-back bye weeks for the Lakers.
I agree.
Like that I just have not seen.
Very weird. Yeah.
Outside of they had an exhibition game against community college, and they basically fielded their pseudo JV team, like guys that obviously are not playing typically on Saturdays for them, but for all intents and purposes, back-to-back bye weeks for the Lakers before heading into GLIAC play. They got Davenport this week. And for me, if you're not top of mind, you're not going to make a jump in the rankings, right? You're leaving your fate up to the teams around you, and if other teams are winning, you're not going anywhere. So that, to me, is the biggest thing. The most recent memory in the minds of the voters for the top 25 is that loss for Grand Valley down at Pittsburgh State.
Like we said, completely makes sense, right? But at the end of the day, we all know it. If they run the table and lose to Ferris, they're in, right? Like, we all know that. But at the end of the day, if they beat Ferris, now all of a sudden people are like, oh, GV might be the best team in the country. They only lost to Pitt State by 3. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's funny how the narrative can change just like that, just like it does in the NFL. Like, the Packers were the greatest team to ever, lace them up, and then they lost to the Browns and tied with the Cowboys. I don't think people feel the same way. And the Lions 3 weeks ago shouldn't have even walked on the field. So,
yes. Correct. And how about a team that is absolutely rolling, both of which my pick, UTPB, the Falcons, and the Indianapolis Colts. And this one I was looking into, and the more I started to line up some of the tendencies and some of the statistics and numbers and weird coincidences, it just started to kind of all come together. These two teams, fellas, this was kind of a really interesting one for me. You've got new quarterbacks leading the charge. Of course, Daniel Jones coming from the Giants, kind of getting this second life, so to speak. For UTPB, it's Cannon Gibson. He comes in, the transfer from West Texas A&M. They're both playing out of their minds right now and doing a very good job for their respective teams, got them on the national stage and the national hunt. You've got an upcoming top 10 matchup this weekend. UTPB has in-conference Fro Angelo State. The Colts have the Rams. 2 top 10 games, 2 litmus test measuring stick type games for these squads that have already beat some good football teams. It's not to say they both have not been tested, but this is kind of, it feels like the true acclamation. It's kind of the build-up into this matchup here coming into Week 5, or for the Colts, it's not Week 5. They've played less. But that is kind of a really weird similarity they both have, as it's all leading up into this really big game this weekend. You got proven running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Corey Harris, respectively, on both those squads that help that offense go. And then the Colts, they've got 0 turnovers through 3 games, which is really impressive, very ridiculous. UTPB has 4 through 4 games, so not quite as perfect, but still worth mentioning. This UTPB squad, I think, has some really wild and good comparisons, especially at the quarterback spot. That felt like a really good standout.
He's a journeyman like Daniel Jones.
I wouldn't say journeyman. Journeyman. How many teams do you have to be on to be classified under journeyman? Like
and in today's day and age, I feel like you can do it.
I gotta say at least 3, right?
Yeah, I think it's at least 3, if not 4. Yeah, maybe 4. If we're talking NFL terms.
Man, Baker's a journeyman. That's crazy.
He
Wow.
is. He is.
No,
He is though.
He is.
Like when you say journeyman quarterback, like my head goes to Fitzpatrick.
Josh McCown, Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
That's who I think too.
I would not put Cannon Gibson in that category. Not yet.
Joe Flacco's in that category.
Joe Flacco is definitely.
Joe Flacco is now. I feel like it also depends, Kobe and Tim. I feel like it also depends on how many years you've been in the league, right? Like,
correct.
You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't say.
Well,
would you say like Marcus Mariota's a journeyman quarterback?
I was thinking that. I was thinking
he's there. Like, he fits the criteria.
He does.
Like, okay, then would you say like a Carson Wentz is now a journeyman quarterback?
Yes,
like
100%.
Okay. See, like, and that's the thing. Like, you look at that versus like, and I'm not trying to get super off topic or anything like that, but if all of a sudden Daniel Jones finds like a home, or Sam Darnold finds a home in Seattle like Baker has in Tampa Bay, then you're back to being franchise quarterback. You know what I mean? So it's like you were on that teeter-totter.
So it's transient. You can go in and out of journeyman.
Yeah, you're on
status.
that teeter-totter of, is he going to be a journeyman? Is he going to be a franchise quarterback?
Interesting
take. I like that.
Yeah. No, I'm not against it though. I'm not against it. Tim, close us out with your pick, dude.
Yeah. Also, Kobe, that was a great pull on the Colts. I love that. I love that comparison.
Thank you, sir.
So my comp was West Florida. I think they're the Detroit Lions, but last year's Detroit Lions. I think because they just came on the scene. Now, Detroit doesn't have the storied history. West Florida does have a good history, but it's just their offensive weapons and their style remind me a lot of the Lions. They got Marcus Stokes at quarterback. He was there last year. He's developed. Corey Scott, one of the better wide receivers in that conference, but then also they have a dual backfield. TJ Lane, Jay Sharp. Kind of reminds me of Gibbs and Monty, man.
I like that.
Almost 400 yards between the two. Now, you guys are Lions fans, so you can, correct me and critique me if you don't see the comp here. But they also have, pretty solid defense as well. They're beating teams by 20-plus a game. This is a playoff team. Now we're talking the Lions as a playoff team now. This is new territory for them, but this team's going to be in the mix.
Brand new Lions.
Yeah.
BNL.
West Florida's going to be in the mix at the end of the season. It's a team that, we don't really talk about too much, but they've just been climbing. They've been winning games. They've been putting people away. They picked up a big win versus Lenore Rye. The Lions beat the Ravens this year. The Ravens don't look too good now, but at the time, that was a pretty solid win. So that's my comp for them right now.